Hey Pyro, I am super excited to share with you my favorite wood burning tool ever. It is the Colwood detailer. Even though I have other wood burning tools, I'm constantly going back to it. Now stick with me to the end because I'm not only going to tell you why this tool is my favorite and what the pros and cons are, but also how to use it and how it burns. Now, before we get too deep into this review, I just want to let you know that there is a really great company that you can actually get this detailer from. It is the Bear Woods Supply Company, and they are the sponsor of this video. A few things I love about Bear Woods is that they are a small business. They're a husband and wife team that work together. They have an entire pyrography section in their shop. It is full of really, really good tools. They have beautiful sour wood. They have some wood cutouts that you can use. They have all kinds of things. They have excellent customer service. They really have taken care of my pyros, and I truly appreciate them for that. So they are somebody that I highly recommend, and I highly recommend that you go check out this machine over at Bear Woods Supply Company. The link is in the description for you to make it really easy to find. And they have just launched the Burn Savvy Beginner Kit and the Burn Savvy Professional Kit, both of them with the Colwood detailer because that is my favorite machine. I'm also going to put a link in the description to where you can get your hands on the Burn Savvy wood burning kits. I'm Jannie Lisenby, your pyro professor. Let's burn. One of the things I love about this machine is that it's so easy to use. It's got a simple on and off switch. So this here is the heat dial. You have from heat 0 to heat 10, and 10 is the hottest, 0 is the lowest. This has a really nice heat range. It can burn nice and toasty on softwoods, and if you aren't familiar with softwoods, you should go check out this video that I'll put up here for you, all about the different kinds of woods and how to shop for wood, because that makes a huge difference in how the burn goes. Softwoods burn at a lower heat. And if you're trying to do shading, then you want to get a light toast. You don't want everything to be dark. It also gets hot enough to burn some of those hardwoods like walnut, maple, cherry. Those ones are hardwoods, and they take a higher heat in order to get a dark burn. And this does a beautiful job on that. And you don't even have to get up to the highest levels to do it. But if you want to burn really dark on things like bone or gourds or things like that, you can get up into these higher levels. And it's really, really nice because it does have that capability. Now, like any machine, you don't want to be burning on these higher levels for super long, like probably not any longer than a half an hour to an hour, because then you can start to have problems that will like melt the pens. Okay, those pens are designed to take that heat, but they're not designed to take that heat forever and ever. So make sure you take care of your tools. And it does burn consistently. That's another thing. A lot of burners, you can set it at a lower level, and then you can burn high, and when you come back down to that level, it doesn't burn at the same heat. Even when you let it sit, even when you use it after a while, it still doesn't burn at the same level. Some of them are not consistent. I have never had any problems with the Colwood. It's always had consistent heat. Another thing I really love about the Colwood detailer is how small of a profile it has. It really doesn't take up much space on the table. So many burners are twice as long, or they're this size, but then you also have burner stands and you have so many extra things. I just really love having a small burner on the table. It doesn't take up much space. And then if I'm working in a small space, it's really easy to use. Something else I really, really love is how long this cord is. Okay, the plug-in cord does not tie you to the wall. So many cords are super, super short, and I have to get an extension cord or something to plug it into. And sometimes burners can take a lot of heat, and so certain burners will burn up my extension cord. These have never burned up any of my extension cords, but for the most part, I don't need an extension cord. I can plug this into the wall nice and low. I can set it on my desk, and I can still move it closer if I need to. Another feature I love is how long the handpiece cord is. Some cords are only about that long. So when I'm working on a large piece, I don't have to worry about setting my burner on the piece. I can simply take my pen and get it to where I need it to go because the cords are long enough. The cord is also flexible, which is a really nice feature. Some cords are very stiff and they're very hard to use. And of course, when they're brand new, any cord is going to be a little bit stiffer than one that's worked in. But in general, these are more flexible and more fluid than a lot of the other burner cords So that was important to me. It's also really sturdy. This sucker is pretty heavy, so it doesn't move on you. And that's something else that bothers me, is when you have a stand that wobbles or moves or wiggles. I don't like that. I want my burner to be sturdy on that stand. And this here, this base, is solid. It feels sturdy. It feels quality. It has a metal base, which I really, really like. Now, this is the plug I use here in America, but it does ship internationally, and you can get different plugs based on what your country uses. So you just have to check into that. Now, to use it, if you have a fixed tip pen, you simply plug it in, and then you're ready to go. All you have to do is turn this sucker on. If you have a replaceable tip pen, you're going to plug in the base there, and then you're going to plug in one of the nibs. Now, all you do is you look for that little notch. You're going to line up the notch on the nib with that notch. And then it slides right in. Super easy. And if you want to switch out the nib, you simply take the easy pull tweezers that have a nice little shape, perfect for the wood burning tool, wrap it around the pen, and pull. Then you're ready to plug in another nib. Simply place that on the stand and turn it on. There are a couple of different kinds of pens that you can get. You can get the replaceable tip, so you can choose several different kinds of tips to use with one pen, or you can get the fixed tip. Now, there are a few key differences here. One of them is the connection points. So one of the benefits of having a fixed tip pen is that you only have the one connection. Now, a burner tends to get hot wherever there are connections, and it doesn't matter which burner you get, they're all that way. And this one will have a connection here, but you don't have as much heat here. And so that helps keep your fingers a little bit cooler than, say, this one, the replaceable tip. However, you only get one tip when you have the fixed tip pen, and they're a little bit less expensive when you buy them separately and you buy a separate pen than they are if you buy a solid pen. So there's another difference. All the pens come with cork to protect the fingers from heat, which is a really nice feature. And some places you can get really, really thick cork pen replacements. I don't like those as much because I prefer the thin feature. So it feels a little bit more like working with a pen than it does feeling like you're working with a really thick marker. They're not the thinnest ones on the market, but they're pretty close. Just to give you an idea of the difference, they are fairly small, more like working with a pen or a marker. And that's how the Optima pen is and how the razor tip pens are. Now, the razor tip pens, they are lighter weight than the Colwood. However, I find that they tend to get a little bit hotter on my fingers than these do. This down here releases some of the heat, whereas these here don't have any of that heat to release. The heat releases at the other connection points up here or down here. With the Optima pen, they don't have the replaceable nibs, so they are fixed tip, and they are also very good, and they are very comparable in size. The pen itself is a little bit slimmer, but the pad that helps protect your fingers, that is a little bit thicker. And so here with the Colwood, it is a little bit thinner and, in my opinion, easier to hold. And then you have the Burnmaster and a TrueArt, and these ones are clearly much thicker than the Colwood pens. So personally, I like the feel and the ergonomics of these pens that don't make my fingers as hot, but are still thin enough that my fingers aren't cramping up with a very, very large pen. Something else I would like to point out is the Colwood pens are interchangeable with Optima pens, as well as Burnmaster pens. They all have that same connection. The razor tip pens clearly don't have that same connection. However, with an adapter, you simply put that in, and now you can use that with a Colwood super easily. Unfortunately, with pens like the TrueArt and the Tech Chic, these pens are not interchangeable. You can only replace the nibs, and those nibs are not compatible with a pen like this. Now, I want to show you some of the nib options that you have here, but before we do, real quick, if you found value in this video so far, it'd be amazing if you'd hit that little like button, and then let me know in the comments what it is that's been most helpful for you to learn. Besides being compatible with other brands' wood-burning pens, Colwood also has a great selection of nibs to choose from. You don't need every nib under the sun. However, I'm happen to be a collector, I guess. I had to have all the nibs, so I've got so many, and I've discovered that I come back to the same few nibs every time. Now, I have here a set of my 9 top favorite nibs. These are the 4 I would recommend first, and then of course these extras. So this here is the shading tip, okay? And this one is a large flat shader. And this one is really good for doing lots of different shading, lots of large areas. It's also really good for getting sharp details if you turn it upside down. So it's extremely versatile. The next tip I would recommend is the writing tip. The writing tip is one of my favorites for writing, and I love that you can get a clean line. You can also get a thicker line depending on which angle that you lay it at, but this one is really good. Like if you're doing mandalas and you're doing really thin lines and details, this is a really great tool for that. You also have different kinds of knife points. This one is called the large point tip, and it's the largest of the straight point tips, and it's used for obviously straight lines, which is really great when you have geometrics or when you have buildings that you're doing, or even grasses. You know, it's a straight line, but then it can slightly curve. It won't do really tight curves very well. I mean, you can, it takes a lot of practice, but this is really good for those lines. And then you can get ball points. There are different sizes. This one's the medium ball point, the ball 2, but you can get a ball 1 and a ball 3, and the ball 3 is the larger one, the ball 1 is smaller. This is also really good for writing. This is also really good for curved lines and things like that. So I highly recommend this one. Then you have the small heavy shader. Now, heavy nibs generally mean that it's made with a heavier wire, and they are better at taking a high heat. It's really good for shading in small areas, and much like its big sister, the large shader, it's really good if you turn it upside down for getting little details and little lines. Then you have the micro writer. I would say that this one is similar to writing with a fine tip Sharpie marker. It's pretty fine, and it's really nice to use. Because of its rounded edge, it's also really good at doing very fine detailed lines that are curved. This here is the needle point. This one is exceptionally good for itty bitty tiny details because of that extremely sharp point. I like to use this to sign my name in tiny little places. However, this one takes a lot of skill to use because it is so tiny, and it's really hard to not dig into the wood. So you just have to be careful, but I absolutely love this nib. Then you have the long spade shader, and this one is really good for also getting into small detailed areas, but that point also allows you to get sharp edges and allows you to get into corners that are sometimes hard to get with a small round shader. So this one having that spade tip is really nice. Then you have the micro rounded heel, and this is really good also at getting lines, really sharp, fine lines. You see how sharp that is? It's pretty much a knife point, but it's curved. And so that allows you to do more of the curved lines, okay? Curved lines and straight lines can be really hard to do. And so it's nice to have a specialty nib that helps you to be able to get exactly the kind of lines that you are looking for, whether you are looking to do more straight lines, like exact lines, or whether you are looking for something a little more fluid, but still very fine. Now, if you decide to get the Burn Savvy Beginner Kit, you will get the first 4 nibs that I recommended. And if you get the professional kit, you will get all 9. Plus, you will also get some cleaning tools and some pieces of wood, depending on the kit that you get. So go check those out and see which one you like more. Now, some people ask me, what do you not like about this machine? Because really, we want to be objective here. We want to make sure that we're talking about the pros and the cons on everything. With this machine, I think the only concern I would have might be the price. But even then, the detailer, the Colwood detailer is kind of the middle ground. You can get burners that are probably around $50 cheaper, maybe $80 cheaper than this machine, but they will not be as high quality in my experience. But you get some of the other machines and they are hundreds of dollars more expensive than the Colwood detailer. This machine is not as expensive as many other professional machines. It's not as cheap as some, but it is higher quality than most of those cheap machines. So really, even the price point isn't a con. I don't have very many cons for this machine. I love this machine. This one is, in my opinion, the best bang for your buck. Now, I always recommend that you get familiar with your wood burning tool before you start burning anything that truly matters to you, okay? Because if you don't practice, you won't know how to use it. A wood burning tool is very different than a pen or a pencil or even a marker. So you just got to learn how to use it. And if you want to learn some techniques, I've got a video for you that you can watch right here. Try the different heat levels and try it with different nibs, because you will notice that you learn things about the heat, you learn things about the nibs, you learn things about your burner when you try the different heat levels of every different nib. When you finish this exercise, you will be far more comfortable using your burner because you will have a little bit more knowledge of how it works in your hands, how it works under different heat levels, and how it works with each different nib. And then it's a really good idea to get practicing with different wood burning tutorials. And I do have exclusive tutorials that you can get in the Burn Savvy channel membership. These are exclusive tutorials that are not available to the public. Go check out the channel membership and go see which membership level suits you best. You can also join the Crate Club, which is my monthly subscription box for wood burning artists and crafters. You get a box delivered straight to your door every month. And it's got all of the materials that you need to make a masterpiece from start to finish. It's fantastic. And if you want to check that out, that's over at crateclub.burnsavvy.com. Let's see here. Now, when I am recommending burners to people, I don't ever recommend just one. I always ask them what it is that they are most concerned about, because really, truly, every person is different. And so what burner will work fabulously for you might not work fabulously for another one. So I have different categories that I tell people to look at. And one of them is the price. And with the Colwood detailer, the price is very reasonable, but it is more expensive than some of the other tools. So I give this one a level 2 on price. Is it easy to use? Yes, it is. This burner is very, very easy to use. It's very easy to set up. It's very easy to turn it on and to switch out the nibs. It's very easy to use because you have all the different specialty nibs that make it really easy to do whatever technique that you want, to get whatever style that you want. Is it reliable? This is an important one because so many of the cheap wood burning machines do not hold a consistent heat. And if it can't hold consistent heat, that's not a reliable tool. And for me, being a professional wood burning artist, it's very important that my tool is reliable, that if I'm going to set it at a certain heat level, it's going to burn at that heat level, and I'm not going to have to guess every time. And the last thing I tell pyros to look for is for a good variety of heat levels. You want to not only have a light toast and a dark burn, but you want to be able to have a good variety of medium space. You don't want to jump straight from cold and hardly burning to dark black. At least not if you're going to do a lot of shading. That makes it really hard. You don't want this to be any harder than it has to be. So in the end, the Colwood detailer was very reasonably priced, very easy to use, has reliable heat, and has a good variety of heat levels. It's got a great variety of nibs that you can buy, and it's compatible with a whole bunch of other machines. It's just such a fantastic machine. Whenever people ask me, hey, do you have a recommendation? This is the one. Again, I highly recommend that you go check out our sponsor, Bearwood Supply Company. The link is in the description for you to make it really easy for you to find. This is a high quality machine, and you would be getting it from a company that gives high quality customer service. I really, really love Bearwood Supply Company. If you're not done shopping for wood burning tools, you may want to check out this video next, and you may want to subscribe because I have lots more wood burning tool reviews coming out. And remember to join the Pyro family at the Burn Savvy channel membership. Again, that link is in the description. I will see you there. I'm Jannie Lisenby, your Pyro professor. Later, Pyro.